Their relatives flung up their hands in horror at the thought of the misalliance. But the young countess got her way. She cared little for convention. Betraying her family and her name? Betraying her love seemed worse. But who talks of her now? Where does her name appear in the history books? He's the only one who's ever mentioned. Yenna Hubai, violinist, virtuoso, composer, teacher, host of the legendary afternoon concerts at the White Salon, named after the palace where they took place. The great man who went on to have a Stradivarius named after him. And how did he get the Stradivarius in the first place? From Rosa.
Sometimes when your fingers glide along the fingerboard, as if by themselves, fly over the keys, when the resonance
continues into your body.
Into your body. As is its way when sometimes it begins to play us.
Me.
You.
Us.
In moments of great joy, sometimes we ask ourselves if music is also spirit. A spirit that inhabits an instrument that uses people.
Me.
You.
Us.
To beget other instruments, which will enable this spirit to come to consciousness.
Enable this spirit.
Then that means that we are not creators merely.
We are not
by
creators
nature.
merely.
Beings who assign meaning to an external force. But is that not who we are? Beings who assign meaning to an external force. To the extent that it is a force.
Is that not who we are?
And not just random events to which we assign meaning.
Not just random events.
Which we assign.
Because it is in our nature.
What is? When is?
Where is
Consciousness.
Where is consciousness?
remembering and forgetting has always been a theme of mine. My entire family was sent to Auschwitz, on my mother's side and my father's. There were no survivors, apart from my mother, who was about to study German literature at university, and my father and his brother, who were both musicians, one with a double bass and the other with a French horn. They didn't want to leave. They weren't Zionists, and the prospect of exchanging their intellectual, artistic lives for hard physical labor in the Arabian desert didn't exactly thrill them. Pioneers, Eretz Israel, the Promised Land, that was never their dream. But their time was up. National Socialism was growing ever stronger. The air was running out. My mother was first to arrive. She became a seamstress. They needed workers, not artists or intellectuals. Then my father's brother, and at the last minute, he made it himself. I became a fisherman. This was 1939, right before the Germans invaded Poland. Arrived, became a fisherman, stayed a fisherman. He provided for his family, stoic, determined, year after year. But until the day he died, he mourned the loss of the first love of his life, his double bass and music. After a certain point, I couldn't broach the subject with him anymore.
The young Hubai could never have afforded a violin like that on his own, despite his success, no more than I could today. Even way back then, a Stradivarius would sell for astronomical sums. A patron gave him the instrument on loan, but only for a limited time. As far as I know, the patron planned to sell it at auction after that to the highest bidder, so the relationship was always running on borrowed time. Just like it is for me now. The closer the end came, the more unbearable it must have been for Hubai.
Throughout my childhood, I had these dreams. A white light, a flash, so bright it's as if the sun has fallen onto my head. And I'm flung through the air and pressed into the ground. I can't see anymore, can't breathe anymore. I'm fighting for air, my skin starts to glow, and then I wake up. And over the years, the dreams became less frequent. I forgot about them until they invited me give a concert on this upright piano, flanked with shards of glass, which had suddenly become so famous.
I had no idea how Levi felt on the day his violin was auctioned off. Maybe he smashed up some furniture, or threw a glass at the wall, or tried to tear a chunk out of the carpet with his teeth. In his shoes, I would just sit in the bathtub with a mountain of strudels and eat my feelings. Whatever. It's one of those rare stories that has a happy ending. Well, okay, kind of a cheesy one. The next day, there's this violin case on his table wrapped with 3 bows on it. I like to imagine they were red velvet bows. The Stradivarius, his violin. A gift from Rosa, who had just become his, well, come on. He was the one who became her lover. She was born rich, powerful, and stubborn, and she won him the violin at auction. And she didn't care what anyone said.